Is blindness a barrier? No.
Is deafness a barrier? No.
Are mobility, learning, cognitive disabilities, speech impairments and others, or even a combination of them, barriers? No way. Lack of accessibility is.
Welcome to Web Accessibility for All.
Follow the blind. This journey starts now.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Web Accessibility for All. Today we are diving deep into drag and drop. It might seem a simple action, but it is a big deal for web accessibility. So let's break down why it matters, the challenges people face, and how can we make it work for everyone.
Understanding drag and drop challenges.
Drag and drop, that familiar action of grabbing something on your screen and dragging it, can be a major hurdle for many users. So let's talk about why.
Screen reader users.
Imagine trying to play a video game blindfolded. That is what drag and drop is like for people who rely on screen readers. They can't see what is being dragged or where it's going.
Motor impairment.
For people with limited motor skills, holding down a button, moving the mouse precisely, and releasing at the right spot can be incredibly challenging.
Cognitive disabilities.
Understanding the concept of dragging and dropping and then executing the action can be difficult for people with cognitive impairments.
A bit of history.
So, drag and drop, right? That thing where you click and drag something with your mouse and move it around. That started way back when computers first put pictures on the screen. Like, think old school, super early computers. People figured out that it was easier to move stuff around by grabbing with the mouse instead of typing a bunch of commands. Anyway, when computers became more common, people with disabilities started saying,
"Hey, this drag and drop thing is kinda tough for us."
you know, people who can't move their hands perfectly or whatever. So everyone had to start thinking about making computers work for everyone. So then came smartphones, right? Tiny screens and touching everything. People kept accidentally dragging stuff when they just wanted to scroll or swipe. And sometimes phones got all slow and stuttery when you try to drag something. So app makers had to figure out ways to make it less frustrating, like giving you better hands when dragging or making it easier to stop. Okay, now let's talk about drag and drop on the web. Way back when browsers didn't know how to handle drag and drop, some smart people figured out how make it work, and they started to adding it to browsers. It wasn't perfect at first, and different browsers did it in different ways. So yeah, it was kind of a mess. Then everyone got together and decided we needed a standard way to make drag and drop on the web. That's where when HTML came in. So they added rules to drag and drop in HTML, and then it was easier for websites to use drag and drop because now all browsers follow the same rules to make drag and drop to work. It took a while to get there, but now drag and drop is absolutely common. But what about us, the disabled people?
The importance of accessible drag and drop.
So drag and drop is not a fancy feature. It is a tool. It can be used for everything. When we exclude people from using this tool, we limit their ability to fully participate in the digital world.
The WCAG and drag and drop.
The WCAG, that stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, sets the standard for accessible websites. When it comes to drag and drop, there are specific criteria to follow.
Keyboard accessibility.
Users must be able to initiate and complete the drag and drop action using the keyboard.
Programmatic determination.
Screen readers need to understand what is happening. The code must provide clear information about the elements involved in the drag and drop interaction.
Sufficient contrast.
The visual elements involved in drag and drop, like drag handles or drop zones, must have sufficient color contrast.
Timing adjustments.
Users must have control over how long they have to complete the drag and drop operation.
Drag and drop, a mobile challenge.
On mobile devices, drag and drop is often performed using natural gestures, such as long pressing an item to drag it and then moving it to the desired drop location. Mobile screen reader users may face challenges due to the conflicts between their gestures and drag and drop functionality. VoiceOver and TalkBack use gestures that may interfere with drag and drop functionality, making very difficult for visually impaired people to perform these actions smoothly. For instance, without proper auditory feedback, users may not be aware of the start, progress, and completion of the drag and drop action.
Building accessible drag and drop.
So, how do we create drag and drop experiences that work for everyone? Well, we have to pay attention to the following.
Keyboard shortcuts.
Make sure that there are keyboard shortcuts for every drag and drop action.
Alternative interactions.
Offer other ways to accomplish the same task, like buttons or links.
Testing with real users.
Always test your drag and drop feature with people who have disabilities.
Provide audio cues for screen reader users.
Provide audio cues for screen reader users and visual cues for everyone else. All right, it's time to get our hands dirty and create our own implementation of a more accessible drag and drop for everyone. We'll do it simply, following good practices, including a sprinkle of area in the process. And we'll test our functionality with different browsers and screen readers, both on desktop and mobile devices. We have a deal? So stay tuned for the next episode of this podcast. And as always, remember, accessibility is not a privilege, it is a right. And together we can make a more accessible web for everyone. Thanks for joining me today. See you then. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. Subscribe for a new challenge next week. And don't be shy. Leave us a review or ask your accessibility questions online. See you next week for another episode of Web Accessibility for All.